Hello, everybody. It's Kevin Austin, and this is PSVG, aka Play Some Video Games, the flagship show of the PSVG Podcast Network. We thank you for tuning in and telling a friend, hopefully. But more importantly, we're glad you're here. Tonight is a special night, everybody. If you've been living under a rock around PSVG or aren't in the Discord, perhaps, maybe you don't know what's going on, but a gauntlet was thrown. Not the Infinity Gauntlet, but a gauntlet nonetheless. But before I get to that, let's talk about who's on the show with me this week. I guess we could say the guest of honor this evening. Donnie, sir. How we doing?
Greetings, Kooplings. Doing well. Excited to be here.
He says that now. That might change. We'll see how this goes. Also, Mr. Nathan Thomas.
Greetings, Kooplings. Never mind. Hello.
A blast from the past. We haven't heard this man in quite some time. Devin, dude, what's up?
What's cracking? Just out here chilling, living in that good Cali life. It's 90 million degrees outside.
It's been 80s over here, so it's kind of weird this quick. We had no spring. It went right from winter to 90 degrees. So
it did the same thing here. Ridiculous.
You had winter?
Yeah. We had a California winter.
Oh, okay.
We don't have what you guys have.
So
we had a winter.
You had what we call spring. Okay, I got you.
Pretty much.
It starts to rain a little bit over there, right? That's winter?
Yeah, if it rains.
In between the wildfires, yeah, right?
Right.
And last but certainly not least, I brought a Hulk.
That's me, right?
Yeah, that's you, Coach.
Oh, good. I was just checking. Hi, guys.
So let's have Devin Donnie talk a little bit right now. So the reason we're here tonight is the gauntlet was thrown. Donnie got picked on a lot for probably almost a year now. I think this conversation was going on how Donnie doesn't watch superhero movies that often. It's not his cup of tea, as he sips a cup of tea. He had watched a few of the Marvel movies, correct, Donnie? Just kind of random ones?
Two. And one I actually thought was a different one than it actually was. So I mean,
that's right. We talked about that.
To put it in perspective, I thought I had watched a Captain America movie, like the first one. Apparently that was Civil War. So just to put it in context of where I was coming from.
Yeah. So see, Donnie thought the first Captain America movie was Civil War, which took place like 8 years into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But that's okay. Nonetheless, we poked and prodded, made fun of him, and finally a challenge was thrown by Devin, sir. What was that challenge?
So the final straw was Donnie asking, "Is there another Avengers movie coming out?" No, I'm sorry. Actually, Captain America movie.
I actually have this pulled up. This gauntlet was dropped on March 16th. And I wanted to go back to this original thing because before we get into all this and all of Kevin's rules, let me state for the record publicly that I'm gonna take your little test. I'm going to play your little game. I'm going to let you guys all mock me.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
However, there was no agreement for me to pass a test to do this. The original bet that was placed by Devin, not by me, but by Devin, was for Donnie to watch them all in order. That was it. It was a completion test, which I passed. But I'm going to take your test and I'm going to pass it. I'm going to pass it anyway. But
well, see,
March 6th, you know what? See,
hold on. The question is
about your rebuttal.
Well, that's true.
On March 16th, I simply asked, who is the big fella? And this was in a trailer for Infinity War, and I was referring to Thanos because I recognized the voiced by Josh Brolin. I'm a big Josh Brolin fan. At that point, I was criticized.
What did you say his name was?
Is it Josh Brolin?
Can you say his last name slowly for me?
Yes, please do.
Brolin. Okay. Do you guys pronounce it differently?
Brolin.
Yeah, Brolin.
Okay.
It's funny. It's like his big Josh Brolin fan.
Home. This is basically how it happens. I say something and just get mocked around the table. Just like
this is truth.
So Devin mocked me publicly for not knowing, and then Kevin joined in. Kevin joined in knowing that I had no idea. Devin actually thought I was trolling, and then privately was like, "Are you being for real?" Yes. I'm being for real. I don't watch superhero stuff. Watch Batman movies. That's it for the most part. And so the gauntlet was thrown, and thus since March 16th, today's Cinco de Mayo, we've been on this slap bet challenge.
So to further evaluate where the quiz came into play. So Donnie put me in charge as the slap bet commissioner of this to verify.
Made up rules after the bet was already
no, because
you put him in charge.
That's true. That was mistake number one. But my thought process is how can we verify you in fact even watched them? And by watch them, I don't mean sitting on the couch playing Mario Golf and not paying any attention to the movie, because that's not watching it. That's where this quiz came into play.
Okay.
So of course, with that in mind, I had to reassemble, if you will, the original League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So we had to talk about comics. So I brought Nathan and Mo along, and we decided we're going to split these movies up, and we're going to write these questions. So there's going to be 2 questions per movie.
There's no way I'm going to pass this.
Don't be a negative Nancy. That's my job. So here's the rules. If you're listening right now and you have not watched the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's going to be spoilers. Warning you right now. If you haven't watched like just Avengers, you can wait till the end of this podcast. You'll know we're going to declare each movie as we get into it. So you can stop at any point that you feel appropriate. But what's going to happen is we're going to go around. We're going to discuss each movie in the chronological order. So not the order they were released, but the order they take place in the timeline. We'll give the 2 questions from there. Donnie will give his answers. We will not say right or wrong, but we will simply have Devin either agree or disagree. Give Dev's answer if he agrees or has a different answer. At the end of the podcast, we will reveal if Donnie, in fact, got a passing score, which just like in, 9th grade geometry, you can get a D and still pass, Donnie. So 60% will get you the win. He's raising his hand.
We will win 4th place.
There's only 2 of you, and you're the only one taking the test. How are you getting 4th? All right. So we'll go through each movie, answer some questions. We'll let Donnie also talk about his thoughts on the movie, because this is his first time watching many of them, or first time watching them and knowing what they were exactly, not Civil War somewhere else. Coach dropped off, so hopefully jumps back on. We lost our Hulk. So let's jump right in. We'll have everyone talk about this Marvel Cinematic Universe and just roll with it. So let's jump right in. Captain America, the First Avenger. I wrote you questions here, Donnie, so we're going to kick things off with a little bit of softballs. We're going to coast you into it, I think. Question number 1. What is Captain America's real name?
Steve Rogers.
Devin, do you agree or disagree?
I agree.
Okay. Question 2. What was the name of Captain America's team, his squad, if you will, in World War II?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, Dev, your answer?
Oh, God. What the heck was their name? I would have known if he would have said it. I would have agreed or disagreed for sure, but I can't.
The test should have been multiple choice.
No,
that'd be way too easy.
No, either
way
you
too
know
easy.
it or you don't. Either you know it or you don't. Oh, man.
Says the person who just said if I said it correctly, he would know it.
The sad part is I can see all their faces. I cannot remember the name of them.
Time.
I'm not the one taking the test, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Fair enough. So we'll move on from there. So, Donnie, your thoughts on Captain America, the First Avenger, then?
Captain America, the First Avenger. So, I mean, I'm not going to reveal my ranking until the end, right?
Yep.
I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it a lot more than I think I would have. Really good villain, Hugo Weaving. Good story. Kind of set up a lot of the things that I had heard you guys talk about in Discord up until that point. I remember as I was watching them all, because my ranking is now out of order, so I'm trying to remember exactly which ones I watched before this one. But I believe this was like the first one where I felt like I started to understand that there were things going on beyond like the movie that it was enclosed in. Like it was like kind of the first one I was like, oh, okay, now I'm starting to see some things are starting to make sense out on the, out on the borders of this storyline. So I really enjoyed it. The World War II thing was a really cool thing. And to back that up, the Stark convention, right? Mm-hmm. When I saw Howard Stark, I was like, oh, now I get it. Oh, that's the day. So yeah, so it was that type of stuff that I started. That's what I remember from that first movie, or that first Cap movie was that.
Gotcha.
Can we call the villain?
Oh, and dude, Peggy.
Sorry, Hugo Weaving. His name is the Red Skull. Can we just call him that, please?
Sorry. You're going to hear me say a lot of actors' names because
that's fine.
Actors
as long as you say the actor's name right, and that time you did, so it's okay. We can roll with that. All right, so I know you also said, Donnie, at certain points you would have questions for us, like, hey, I didn't get this. If you have them, feel free to ask about them when we're at this part of each movie.
Okay.
So actually, Devin, why don't you go first, man? What was your thoughts on Captain America: The First Avenger? Devin, that's you with a D.
Oh man, I'm like lagging here.
Oh, okay.
Great.
You hear us?
I hear you guys. Okay, what happened? What was the question?
Okay, what was your thoughts on Captain America: The First Avenger? What was your impressions, like Donnie just did?
Like Donnie said, this is the one that kind of tied everything together and gave you like the bigger overall picture to let you know that there was more going on than just like this one thing. So I really enjoyed it. It's the one that really tied me in, like, oh, okay, they're going big. They're really going to do something with this. And it really is the one that got me like totally like into everything. Like, okay, let's see where this goes. It's not just a couple of one-offs here and there. They're really going deep. So yeah, this is the one. All the Cap movies, honestly, are the ones who just kind of take it to the next level. Let you know, yeah,
the Cap storyline feels like the main narrative. Like all of the Cap movies are like kind of right-centered, and everything kind of just comes back and forth between them. But the Cap movies seem to be like the center of the universe, if you will.
Cinematic universe.
There you go.
Anyway, with that being said, it's time to move on to Iron Man. Nathan, I believe you have those questions, sir.
I do. So, first question. Why did Tony Stark make the arc reactor?
Because he was going to die.
Why?
Because he had shrapnel in his chest, and the arc reactor kept it from being pulled into his lungs or heart or vital organs or something like that.
And Devin, your thought?
I'll agree.
After Tony Stark reveals he is Iron Man, who comes to talk to Tony about what?
After Tony Stark reveals himself to be Iron Man, who comes to talk to Tony about what? Is this a stinger question?
Kevin, I'll let you answer that question if you feel it's appropriate.
I know the answer. I think I know the answer. It's a stinger question, isn't it?
I counted to 10.
Okay. So yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's all right.
Look at this, man. That would be. I'm gonna say Samuel Jackson, but I feel like you guys are not gonna.
You gotta give character names.
Nah.
It's Fury, but Nick Fury.
Mm-hmm. Okay. About what? About what?
The Avengers.
Devin, what say you?
Agree.
All right. So, Coach Hulk, what was your opinions on the original Iron Man film, sir?
Didn't like it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Remember, I don't like Cap. I don't like Iron Man. Like, I'm not a fan of either one. And so as somebody who doesn't like either character, I don't enjoy standalone movies with either one. So that's just, I don't like the characters. I don't have a lot of people have like connections to them or whatever. I don't remember seeing the first Iron Man until after the Avengers.
Okay. Fair enough. So Donnie, your impressions on the original Iron Man film?
I love Iron Man and really enjoyed this film, even though the his dad's evil partner, like the villain in this movie, probably one of the weaker ones in all of the movies to my liking. But the whole origin story I thought was well told. It's a really tight story. I think you really get to know Iron Man and his motivations. I think maybe better than Cap in the first Avengers, because Cap's he's not a very complex character in my mind. He's just a hero, all right, and he just does heroic things. I mean, and it goes all the way back to when he didn't have the abilities, so like that all his personality carries to the new one. With Iron Man, you see a fundamental change, right? You have this playboy guy who's living life up to his own, who then goes through something and changes, and then changes for the rest of it out, from that point forward. And I thought the story was very, very well told. So I really enjoyed the movie.
All right. Fair enough. So Nathan, continuing the Iron Man streak, I believe you also have Iron Man 2.
Indeed, I do. Tony isn't the only man in armor in this movie. Who else gets suited up?
Rhodey by Don Cheadle.
And Devin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give him that.
You'll give him that.
It's changed from the first Brody.
Also true.
That is correct.
Which future Avenger is introduced as Tony's new personal assistant?
So Devin already tipped his hand to this one, and it was Scarjo, his Black Widow. I don't know a Russian name. But it was funny because when Kevin said like this would be an example of one, I was thinking Rhodey. And then like Devin was like whatever her name was, Black Widow. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, she is the one. She struts that leather suit. It's fantastic. Great scene.
And Devin?
I thought we weren't using this question.
Oh, too bad. Already give it to me.
Agree, and it's Natasha Romanoff.
There you go.
Sir.
See? If I heard it, I know it.
just like Devin.
Do we
turn it back?
Do we give points when he only knows half of the answer?
Yes.
I mean, he didn't know War Machine.
Why am I have like five? I have 4 people against me.
No. If you give, as long as you give their real name or their superhero name, it's fine. Just as long as you don't.
We're using fake names. Okay, I'm Spider-Man.
Yes, Spider-Man. Yeah, you just can't name the actor in the questions. As long as you name one of their names in the question, you're fine. I'm allowing that.
Got it.
I'm not that mean. Okay. So your thoughts, Donnie, on Iron Man 2?
Oh, Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2, probably my favorite Iron Man. Definitely of the core Iron Man, and I think it's because of the villains. Mickey Rourke's character was really good. I liked him. I know everybody makes fun of him about his bird, which is funny, but it was definitely a heck of a lot better than his business company espionage partner like his dad had, and then Guy Pearce, the other guy, at least in my opinion. And then was it Hammer? Right? Hammer Industries. One, amazing actor. 2, played it very well, but like the whole trying to upstage Tony at his own show, at his dad's show, I thought was really cool. And like it kind of sets like this, I really hate this guy. He plays the heel very, very well. And then the whole drunken scene, right? That's this movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's like that scene is like very Tony Stark, right? It just epitomizes the character when he goes too far, which he's prone to do. So yeah, I'm loving it.
All right, so Nathan, then your thoughts on Iron Man 2?
Ooh, so Iron Man 2 is a tale of 2 viewings because the first time I saw it, I didn't like it as much as later viewings because what this movie does is it introduces a lot of Avengers type characters. Well, for instance, it has a bigger thing with Nick Fury, a bigger thing with Coulson, a bigger thing with Black Widow. Obviously, they're building that Avengers universe at this point where they weren't doing that in the first one. So it kind of detracted from the Iron Man story that I was expecting to get in part 2. However, when I first saw it, I didn't really like it. All that being said, as much as I thought I should have, that hype level was pretty big because I'm an Iron Man fan. That's my guy. And going back and watching it again, though, it is a better movie in post an Avengers world because you can see how it all ties together, how it all fits. And it's not a standalone at all. It's definitely a lead into the Avengers movie. So Iron Man 2, great characters and nice to see the War Machine actually show up in this one.
Yeah.
But when they had that opening scene with it wasn't the courtroom, the Congress thing, and he's doing his old Tony Stark thing there.
So good.
Yeah, it's such a good thing, such a good option. And then when the Don Cheadle character comes in and it's not Terrence Howard, it's like, I'm here, deal with it. It's just pretty funny. It's a nice little in joke.
Yes, it is. So to give a little insight here, when I drew who was doing what movies, it was a randomizer, all with the exception of this next one, The Incredible Hulk. Clearly, I had to give that to Coach to write the questions on that one. So, Coach, take it away, sir.
All right. My first question: how does Banner get found, and how does it connect to the MCU, Donnie?
Bruce Banner gets found after he cuts his finger or hand working in a bottle shop. That makes Stan Lee's cameo sick.
I'm so proud of you.
Wow.
Thank you.
You're not supposed to say is correct, Coach.
Oh, I mean, you failure. Dang it. Dev, do you agree?
I mean, yes.
And the second one, Hulk loses it in a cave with Betty. Why?
Oh, it's a really good scene. The rain and the thunder?
Kevin?
I'm gonna allow it.
Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
fun fact on this one. Did you know that this was supposedly the time when Thor was cast down onto Earth?
Yes.
It's exactly when it's supposed to be. You
Yep.
can see Mjolnir in the sky.
Oh, you can't.
Yes, you can.
I didn't even know that until now. So thank you.
Wow. And you're gonna, oh my goodness. I don't even know what to say to you, Kevin.
Okay, so your question, I'm gonna get a little backstage chat here then. So your question, the answer is written lightning strike. So I think
He
thunder
never
and
said
rain-
lightning. He never said lightning. He said thunder and rain.
What is Thor the god of?
Lightning.
No,
How's that
no.
better than thunder?
God of thunder. So
He's
I'm
the
gonna allow
god
it.
of thunder.
Sorry, Coach. Oh, Dev, do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So, Coach, what are your thoughts on the Incredible Hulk?
This is the worst movie with my favorite character in the MCU next to Thor Ragnarok. Like Thor Ragnarok's still hot trash.
Wait. Worst movie in the entire MCU or worst movie featuring the Incredible Hulk?
Worst movie with the Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
So it's the second worst. Thor Ragnarok's still the number one worst. Hot trash. But the thing that this one does so well is it sets up so many other movies on the timeline. It ties into Iron Man 2. It ties into other things, and it does it in a really good way. Oh, there go the dogs. They agree.
All right, so Donnie, your thoughts on the Incredible Hulk then?
Definitely not my favorite. This was probably the first moment in my journey where I thought of quitting. And it almost happened very early on. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like my wife and I were watching, she's like, we have to watch more of these. And I think I even posted in the Discord. I was like,
Yes.
They're telling me there's like another 2. She's like, there's 2 more of these. I was like, I know. Like, she's like, you don't have to do this. We could just stop. We could watch The Office. Like it's a better use of our time. So
The Office.
yeah, not my favorite. Not my favorite.
Okay, that's fair. Not one of my favorites either. I can say that much. So, continuing on this Hulk train, next up is Thor, the original Thor. Coach, question number 1.
All right. Donnie, name all the people who find Thor.
Oh man, the people that come back to find him after he's been cast, I don't know their names. They're like his little crew. Dude. Is Sif one? I don't know the other ones, man. Dude, I can't name them all. I don't know them all. Like that's a hard one. I knew there was gonna be like stuff like those supporting characters. Come on. Nobody knows those outside of you guys.
So, Dev, do you agree?
No, I don't agree.
Nice.
I mean, Sif is one of them, but I mean, are we talking about his people that come back to get him, or are we talking about who finds him when he gets cast down? Like,
okay, so that's okay. So yeah, hang on a
Finds him
second.
when it's cast down.
Okay,
When he's
hang
cast
on,
down.
hang on. Okay, so not the Asgardians that come find him.
Right,
No,
not his crew.
They didn't have to come
Okay,
find
okay.
him.
So
They
it's
knew where he was at.
It's Natalie Portman, Kat Dennings, and
You have to give character names, not actors' names in question. You know,
I don't know Kat Dennings' name. But Jane. I do know her name. Because they mentioned it in Infinity War, right? So Jane. Natalie Portman is Jane. Come on, man. That is like 85% of what you're looking for. Come on.
Dev, do you agree?
I mean, he's got like one character. You don't know her
Kat
last
Dennings.
name? Come on, man.
Dude, it was
All
so
right.
long ago. This was just like in March.
All right.
All right.
Move on then, Coach.
Question number two. What is Thor's hammer's name?
Mjolnir.
No.
Then I don't know.
No, you're right. I just want to say Mew.
Oh.
I just want to say Mew.
Can I say that question about the people who found Thor? I wouldn't have gotten that right if you would have asked me.
I would have gotten two.
I would have gotten
Thank
two.
you for a little support, Nathan.
I wouldn't have gotten that third name.
Like I said, some of these
How?
questions are
She's
gonna
in
be tough.
both movies.
I don't know her name. I didn't know her name. I just know she's a funny character.
I don't know her name either. I can't even remember the doctor's name. I can't remember his name either.
Oh, I know his
in more
name.
movies.
I know his name.
No, you didn't, because you didn't say it.
You didn't say it.
Dr. Selvig.
It's too late though.
Okay, 25 minutes later.
Right?
All right, so I'll give my thoughts on Thor. So the original Thor movie. So the first time I saw it, I just want to say, sorry, totally black out there. I hated this movie. This was one of my least favorite Marvel movies. The Thor movies, and this is gonna hurt Coach to even say, out of the Thor movies, my favorite is Ragnarok. So it took a big turn. I like the Thor movies in reverse order. So Ragnarok, then Thor 2, and then Thor 1's my least favorite out of the bunch. So I don't know. I just never been a big fan of just Thor. I think that's what it was. So it didn't help. And much like the original Captain America, which I also completely despised, I just didn't like him. It just wasn't my thing, but I still powered through them, and I could have answered most of those questions. So, Donnie, your thoughts?
I like Thor. Not my favorite of the universe, but like literally as a movie, it wasn't awful. Like there's a point, and when I give my rankings later, like there's a point where it's just like everything's awful, and then like it kind of just becomes okay, and then they're the good ones, like in my tiers. I like this one. I thought it was cool getting to see like all the Asgard, I guess CG stuff. Like it started to make more sense. Isn't this the first movie where they talk about the Tesseract? Or like start not talk about it, but like when they actually like maybe start showing it. When they show it in this movie?
Yes.
Okay. And I only knew about like an Infinity Stone from that March 16th day where I was like, who's the big fella? So the one thought that I kept in my mind when I was watching these movies, and I did confirm it with my wife after watching them, she had no idea what an Infinity Stone was. Like they mention these things, but they're in such small, like quick moments. They're like in a stinger or like in a line that if you don't know, you don't know. Like she literally watched half of these movies with me, and I was like, "So you know what a Tesseract is?" She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, that like that glowy cube thing. There's something in it. You know what it is?" She's like, "No." So like I was.
It's even in multiple movies. It's not even like that one's limited to one.
I was trying to use her as an example, so to give you a little. There are common lay people in the world, okay, that just see a box and take it for what it is. They don't need to know what it is and where it was and who touched it when and all that. So, yeah, Thor, good stuff.
Fair enough. Moving on, the Avengers, the first Avengers movie. I got these ones. So, Donnie, question 1. At the end of the film, the entire team gathers to eat what?
Oh, dude. So if you had told me what happened in the film, I would have told you they all gathered around to eat. I don't know. It's like an Indian food place, but I can't give you the name.
Okay, Dev, do you agree?
I disagree because he doesn't know what it is, but let's go for shawarma.
That's it.
So, fun fact too. So that scene was actually filmed after the worldwide premiere of the movie. Then they went back and shot that film at Robert Downey Jr.'s request. And the reason Cap, if you recall, has his hand across his face and he's just laughing and not eating, he's wearing a prosthetic chin because he refused to shave his beard from Snowpiercer to film this scene. So they kind of had to cover up his whole face. Wow. Fun fact there. So, Donnie, this movie featured the death of what agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Coulson.
Dev, do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, so Donnie, your thoughts on the original Avengers?
Well, that death is very impactful in it. Like I felt it for many movies, and it was one of the first impactful moments. Again, the order for all of this is going to get out of my head because I just watched them once.
Right.
But in my mind, like there were no like real impactful moments in these movies. It was all like superhero beat up the bad guy, and the bad guys are not very like they don't have a whole lot of memory and Coulson's also in Thor, right? Like he's the guy that finds the hammer and all that. So like you kind of have some. This is the first time you have like some history of somebody, and then he dies. And then the way Dr. Fury like uses his baseball cards and stuff, which is hilarious because they keep talking about it, right? Because they keep talking about it. You know, he's like trying to get it monographed and stuff. So it's very funny. It's like this tongue in cheek thing. He's like, their original set, they're mint condition. It's so good. He's like such a dork, and to have him, for him to die trying to cover for folks is sad. It was a sad moment. So I can't forget about him.
So Nathan, your thoughts on the original Avengers, sir?
I love this movie. It's so good, and I watched it recently, actually a couple days ago. And this movie is infinitely watchable for me. It's always on my phone. Whenever I travel, it's there. I can just pop it on at any point and just enjoy it and go. Like, they give all the characters their due in this movie. They bring everybody together in a way that makes sense. They have the, obviously, you know, when you first meet a character, they have to fight kind of thing. That's kind of a trope, but they do it well. And I just really enjoy this movie. The interplay between all the characters is great. The jokes that Captain America makes because he's being out of time, like I think that one joke where he made where
I got that reference.
Yeah, I got that reference. Or he gives Nick Fury $10 on the air carrier because he bet him $10 that he'd see something that he hadn't had any idea would be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a fantastic movie, and I didn't really care for the Chitauri much as far as that goes. I mean, very reminiscent of episode 1 when they blew up the control ship. Everybody just dies. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But good movie, really great, and I enjoyed it immensely. And that also made me go try a place that I now love called Pita's here in Peoria because it's a Mediterranean restaurant, and got shawarma for the first time.
Nice.
Nice. I can't believe I'm going to lose this bet because I don't remember shawarma.
Dude, that was a major thing.
I no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I might say though, this movie does have that probably my first moment to where I maybe got like excited or like a little like on the edge of my seat when they finally come together and they all live together on like that bridge of that road, and that camera pans and circles them, and you finally see like the Avengers. I was like, oh snap, like this is starting to become something. I'm starting to get excited, and that moment just pays dividends the further and further you keep going down the line. So
totally. And I will say, like, this one holds up probably, I would almost say better, I think, than any other of these films in this first that we've already covered.
Oh, my kids. Oh, yeah.
This one holds up. But you can go back and watch
Loki around in this one.
Yep.
And everybody. Yeah, my kids just died. They love that theme, that scene so much.
All right, so it's time to roll on then onto Iron Man 3. I got these questions as well. So Donnie, what is Iron Patriot's password?
I remember that it was very funny, but there's no way that I remember that. Come on, nobody remembers that from watching the movie.
I do.
Hold on, wait 1 second, Devin.
I do not remember his password.
Thank you. So at least that should count as like a tie.
I've seen Iron Man 3.
I've seen the movie one time.
But see, here's the thing.
Hilarious. It is hilarious.
There's no ties, Donnie. I'm not taking the quiz.
I know, but come on. I get docked the thing that MCU Marvel man doesn't know.
Donnie, my 11-year-old got it this afternoon. I gave her the quiz.
Oh, come on. It's your 11-year-old though. Your 11-year-old doesn't count. Go find somebody else's 11. You may go grab my 11-year-old and have you ask her. Come on.
Why? She's just gonna get it wrong too.
She might know it.
All right. So then, all right. Question number 2: what does Tony Stark suffer from since the attack on New York?
Panic attacks. Panic attacks.
Dev, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I'll give him that.
Okay. So Donnie, your thoughts on Iron Man 3?
First, tell me what's the password.
War Machine Rocks with an X.
Okay, because I was going to say something like I'm awesome or something. I remember it was something like that. I remember it was very funny. Yeah, my least favorite of the Iron Man movies. And one of my least favorite movies in the MCU period, to be honest with you. And, and it kind of pained me because when Guy Pearce was shown as the villain, I actually got really excited. I've been a big fan of his for a very long time. He was in The Time Machine. I like him a lot. But here's a question for you guys. At the end, right? Pepper Potts has powers because she's got the fire stuff in her body.
Yep.
The fire.
We never get to see her do anything with that for the rest of the MCU, and I feel like it's a missed opportunity because she could have played a role, and she's like this helpless character. And yeah, that's all we ever hear. She's just like running this company, and he's trying to protect her, and it's like, dude, she could totally protect herself. Like she saved you. Like,
extremist isn't permanent. You have to
extremist
continue
isn't.
taking the medication or whatever to continue having that ability.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
well,
that, and I think there was also a contract dispute with her as far as being in the movies, and that's why we didn't see her again until Homecoming.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
She's kind of disappeared for a while. So fun fact on this one too. And you guys know why she's constantly barefoot throughout this movie?
Mm-mm.
Because her height, she's taller than Robert Downey Jr., so she had to not wear shoes, which would allow him to wear lifts in his shoes, so he would be taller than her. That's hilarious. Yeah, so fun stuff.
They do destroy his house in that movie.
Oh yeah,
which is a really good scene.
That's a great scene.
It is.
And because I'm trying to remember it all of the Iron Man suits, dude. Like, there's just tons and tons and tons of suits, which I think lessens Iron Man. And it's just like, well, if we have all these suits,
that's part of his anxiety disorder.
I know. And then, like, you also wonder, like, I also wonder at every moment along the way after that, because I know he blows them all up, but obviously he had the ability to build them all. So, like, at every moment along the way after this, at every movie, like every Avengers movie, I'm like, why doesn't he just make like 5,000 suits? Like, this is a really good use case for all of these suits that he destroyed. Like, you should maybe redo those.
Yeah, fair enough. Dev, your thoughts on Iron Man 3?
Again, it wasn't one of my favorites. I didn't like what they did with the Mandarin. It just kind of like turned. It could have been it was such a good villain. They turned it into this garbage. Just like the extremist thing. It was just like it just didn't land with me at all. I mean, I was hoping it was going to be really good, like going into it, but in the end, it ends up being just a throwaway. It doesn't really tie too much together as far as the overall MCU. Because again, Mandarin is pointless. So it's just like you get to see Robert Downey Jr. or Tony Stark, have a really, really off day, basically.
Sure, valid point. So next up is Thor: The Dark World. And Nathan has these ones.
Thor: The Dark World. Okay. Malekith has issues. He also has an army. What race is Malekith and his army?
I feel like this is going to be wrong. Aren't they like elves? Like dark elves or something like that?
Devin?
I agree.
When Malekith attacks Asgard, who tries to protect Jane and dies in the process?
Thor's mom. Hang on. Give me a minute. Frigga? Devin?
I don't remember Thor's mom's name, but I'll give him because it's.
You have to give it to me. Dev does remember. That's how it works, right?
I'm making the judgment calls. I'm no longer saying on the air what my judgment calls are, but
okay.
I have noted your answer. I will say that.
Thank you.
So, Donnie, your thoughts then on the lovely Thor: The Dark World?
This movie's awful. This movie. I kid you not. I watched this movie with my wife, and she kind of checked out after this. Like, she kind of tuned in for the rest of the ride, but she was out of it after this one. This movie is awful. First and foremost, like, Natalie Portman is just like Natalie Portman. And then that goes back to the other one, but she's just like Star Wars Natalie Portman. It's not my favorite, like, at all. Like, I'm actually glad that they just kind of wrote her off because it's not doing anything. So having her all mixed up and everything, I didn't enjoy. I think that made it worse. The fact that they got stranded on like this hell planet and it's terrible and everything, and then they just walk off of it is ridiculous. Like, at that point, I can suspend belief, especially for Thor, but that's ridiculous. And then they fight the dude that Nathan mentioned. What's his name?
Malekith.
And they're flying through all these portals and all this stuff's getting all wavy and wacky. I was like, this sucks. This is awful. I think I tweeted, I was like, this is becoming hard. It's becoming hard to watch these movies now because this movie, I watched it to the end and regretted doing so. It is at the bottom of my list. I couldn't see that now. Like, I did not like this movie at all.
All right, so Coach, I believe you're back.
I am.
Your thoughts on Thor: The Dark World?
This is my least favorite of all the movies except for Thor Ragnarok. That one's still the absolute worst. This is the second worst. My reasoning is very similar to Donnie's. I love the port in Star Wars. I thought she was fine in Star Wars because I'm,
It's kind of whiny.
But isn't that what politicians are? That's what she plays. Like in this, you're supposed to be playing like a doctor who's on a strange world, and your emotional depth is, guys?
Yeah,
it's not good. I also don't like the character. I wasn't a big fan of the Malekith. Not a good. The Dark Elves whole storyline, I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah,
I thought they could have gone a million different ways, would have been better. But yeah, I just wasn't a fan. And it wasn't. I loved the Thor Loki stuff.
Yeah,
because it really shows the tricks and who he is, and I enjoyed that part. I give me more of that, and I'm gonna enjoy the whole movie. Way better.
Oh, that's the one where he fakes his death, right?
Yeah, me and Deb were talking about that one earlier today.
That's the only good part.
All right, so fair enough. This brings us up to one of my favorites, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Coach has these ones.
I have two hard-hitting questions here, Donnie. Very, very tough ones. Who attacks Star-Lord first in the movie?
I don't know his name. It's the guy that comes after him after he picks up the orb, but I don't know his name. I didn't. To be honest with you, like, did they say his name? And if they did they say their name?
Hold on, I'll clarify a little bit. We're not looking for a name. We're looking for a race of alien he is.
Yeah.
And they do call it out what they are.
Are they Kree?
Dev?
I don't remember if they are or not, but I think he's. I'm just gonna agree.
That was a kind of a stab in the dark.
Next one, and this was the most important Guardians of the Galaxy trivia ever.
I love this one.
What tool isn't needed for the breakout of jail?
I think I know where he's going. The leg?
Dev, do you agree?
Mo kind of left and it cut out.
Yeah, he cut out early, but I think I know where he's going.
Yeah, no, I said, Dev, do you agree?
I don't know what the question was. He cut out.
Oh, you didn't hear what the question was? Okay. He said, what tool is not needed for the breakout of jail scene, the prison break?
Donnie said the leg.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So Guardians of the Galaxy was one of my favorites. I love the dynamic of the different characters in the team. Like, I think it's much the same feelings that Donnie had throughout Avengers about everybody coming together and teaming up. I had that feeling throughout most of this movie. And I think this was the first true comedy that we saw in the Marvel universe there too. And it was a blast. It was a roller coaster ride, a lot of stuff going on. The one thing I do not like is how it ended. The whole way Ronan went down. Not a fan of the dance off battle.
The dance off? That was hilarious. Yeah. My kids loved that so much.
I mean, it's funny, especially if you watch the outtakes version. It's even better. But the it's just that was one downfall for me. But Donnie, what were your thoughts?
So with Guardians of the Galaxy, I've got to give it major props because one, it's highly entertaining. It's very funny. I love Peter Quill's characters, like juxtaposition against Iron Man and Caps. It makes him fit perfectly into this. But the highest honor that I can give Guardians of the Galaxy is I had absolutely 100% no clue who these people were. I didn't even know these people existed. I knew who Iron Man was before I watched Iron Man. I didn't even know who these people are. And after the very first moment I watched the very first movie, I cared about them more than I did half the other people in the entire thing. And I've got to think that that's got to be at least counted as a huge success. You just launched a brand new IP that I had no idea, like completely no idea, no touch at all.
Yeah.
And I totally fell in love with all of them. And talk about an emotional beginning, that opening scene.
Oh yeah.
With his mom. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So yeah.
Fair enough. So we're going to roll right on into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 then, which I have. So question number 1, Donnie. Yondu proudly proclaims that he is what Disney character?
Oh, hang on. Mary Poppins.
Dev, do you agree?
I agree.
Okay. So Donnie, who is Star-Lord's father?
Ego. Kurt Russell.
Dev, do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, so Donnie, your thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 then?
Didn't like it as much as the first one. I really didn't like Kurt Russell's thing, and like that whole thing, that arc, with Ego and the planet and doing all the other planets, like all of it, I could have thrown out. I could have lived without all of it. I just felt like we were spinning our wheels there, which played a good mechanic in the sense that it felt like, like with Gamora and Nebula, like they got to flesh some of that out, which was cool. They introduced Mantis, and her stuff with Drax was hilarious. And this movie, like, he really comes out a little, except for, compared to the first one. But this is really Yondu's coming out party. Like, this is Rooker's movie. Like, I feel like
going away.
Yeah, like he kind of steals the show here. Like, honestly, throughout, like his scene with Rocket, his scene at the end, like the funeral, like everything is kind of about him. And I think that is kind of a disservice to the Guardians of the Galaxy a little bit. So not better than the first one, but still good.
He might be your father, but he ain't your daddy.
Ugh.
So, Dev, you were shaking your head a little bit there and disagreeing with what Donnie was saying. So what were your thoughts on Volume 2?
I love Volume 2 just as much as the first. Ego is important to me, mainly because it gives you the idea of the Celestials and the fact that there are so much more than just what you think there are. There's God, and then there's lowercase g gods like Ego.
I've already been to Asgard and back, though, and 8 other Heims and Whiffleheims and other Heims in between. Like that.
Heimdall is not a god, so stop. But it just gives you that scope of how big the gods really are. It gives you an idea. Like, think about how powerful Ego really was. Yeah. So I like the fact that it brings all of that in, and we get to actually see the Celestials. So we see all of that, and they actually bring it in. So that they're going bigger when it comes to the MCU. It's not just going to be, whittled down to just what we've seen. There's so much more that you don't even know about. And then when they introduce the Celestials and actually say the word and use God, like, that they're actually bringing that all in. So I really like that. And like you said, the Yondu stuff was fantastic. It was definitely his coming out party, but unfortunately it was also a send off.
Yeah, right.
I would have loved to have been able to, get some more Yondu, but it is what it is. But it was really good. It was really good. I love it. I love Guardians. I can't wait to see Guardians 3, even though it might just be Rocket.
So, rolling right along then, Captain America the Winter Soldier is next. I have those questions as well. So, Donnie, question 1. What new friend and Avenger is first introduced in this movie jogging alongside Cap?
Falcon.
Dev, do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, so question 2.
He wasn't jogging alongside him. He was just in the way.
Pretty much. He was
on your left. On your left. So question 2. In this movie, we discover that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been compromised by who?
Hydra.
Dev, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So, Nathan, your thoughts on Captain America the Winter Soldier?
Fantastic movie. Amazing. Really good. This, for a long time, was probably my favorite of the Avengers type MCU movies, just because it is such a great story on its own right. Like, you don't have to have any other backstory from anything else to really enjoy this movie. It's made better by having that backstory, but it stands alone really well. And the Winter Soldier, when he's first introduced as a villain, and a character, when he's first on screen, the use of that the music that's kind of like a screeching sound that whenever he's around, it makes him kind of like Terminator menacing in a way. And they did a really good job making him a good villain. And then the interaction between Bucky and him, and how it brings back all those memories between Cap and Bucky. And it's just a fantastic storytelling arc for both of those characters, really, because when you look at Bucky, he's got his mind wiped and he doesn't know what's going on. He's just a tool that's being used, and he doesn't know why he wants to pull this guy out from the river, but he does. And it's just such a fantastic telling of movie, because the villain, I can't remember the name of the guy that plays him. Robert Redford.
Yep.
He's fantastic in his role, and he's just one of those legendary Hollywood actors that you would never have thought would be in a comic book movie. You know what I mean? And he does a fantastic job in here. The whole Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. early on and then taking over was really cool. It also played really well in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show at the same time. And it was just fantastic. Great storytelling all the way around. And my wife likes this movie too because of when Captain America's holding the helicopter down and he's just doing that one of those things and flexing his muscles. She likes that scene.
So Donnie, your thoughts then on Winter Soldier?
Most of Nathan's thoughts ring true. I will say, while I think we maybe get a little more payoff than that I liked later on, the Bucky arc is a bit much. I feel like it feels like one movie too far. He's like, I could have used one less movie to explain this story, because I feel like we all knew where it was going. And then the whole Hydra, it's like this constant, right? Like they beat Hydra, but they were like always there, and they beat Hydra and they're just there again. And it's like, it's this constant thing that just keeps coming up. Maybe repetitive is the word. Like at this point, it started to feel a little bit like I'm just like, okay, or predictable, maybe a little bit. Like I kind of feel like where we're going, and I know like how it's going to get there and all that. So yeah, in that regard, some of that, and we get a little payoff later, but like it just feels like a lot. It felt like a lot to me, especially with Bucky. So
fair enough. So Coach has a real quick comment on Winter Soldier. Go ahead, Coach.
I've never stayed awake through that entire movie yet. Sorry.
Supporting me a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. So
shenanigans.
Next,
Shenanigans.
I agree, Dev. I agree. So Nathan has the next one in Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Other than Thor, who else was able to lift Thor's hammer?
Vision.
Dev?
Agree.
Where does the final battle with Ultron take place?
Sokovia.
Devin?
Agree.
All right. So Donnie, your thoughts on Avengers: Age of Ultron?
I didn't like this one. And I was wondering if that was gonna like land flat on you guys. Because it's a pretty big spectacle. I do have some questions, particularly here with this one. I like the new characters. I did like them. I like some of the supporting characters. I thought they got some character development. Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk, even to a lesser degree, but still there. I enjoyed that part of the movie. I liked a lot. But the whole Ultron thing, and get away from the fact that Spader is the voice, which if you've ever watched The Office, like it's very hard to, my wife and I picked up on that almost instantly, and like we could never get off of it. But that aside, the whole, I mean, I get the motivation. But that whole thing, I don't know. For the most part, the entire MCU, I was going to say this in, I'll do a little bit of this now. For the most part, the entire MCU, I'm really impressed the fact that they've spanned what, 2 decades? A decade? A decade?
Yeah,
okay. They've spanned a decade and let's say 20 movies, give or take. And they've really created a universe that's grounded, or at least that like it tiptoed you into it. Like I felt grounded in the sense that most of the villains that came in felt equal, and it felt real. I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like even when we went to Asgard, I was like, okay, like in this universe, this makes sense. I took this at face value. This was the first time when I was like, really? Come on. Like this is what they're going to do. Like that was the first one I felt like maybe just a little bit cheap. But I do have a question. My question is, what exactly does Vision do? Because in this movie, I felt like he's like superhuman. Like, or I mean, obviously he is. That's ridiculous to say, but I meant like he's like Superman. Like he's like all powerful. He's Vision, right? Like you can't even hit him. Like he goes invisible and stuff. And then later on, in other movies, we see him get ragdolled, like just get the crap kicked out of him. And I don't know where to land on the most powerful Avenger list with Vision.
It's called
like in
bad
this
writing,
movie, he's like, I'm like, oh man, nobody can touch Vision. He's like, he's the trump card. And then in other movies, I'm like, he just did that to Vision? Like, what in the world? What is this? What's going on here?
I have the same questions because he really shouldn't have been manhandled the way he was in Infinity War.
What exactly does he do?
Well, he said that the whatever it was, when he got stabbed, it stopped him from being able to actually phase.
Yes,
So it kind of explains it, but yeah, it's a cheap way of doing it because technically, yeah, Vision should be able to kind of deal with just about anything.
Okay, so I wasn't off base in that because
that
was like my main takeaway. I was like, man, okay, that makes me feel better.
So, Coach, then your thoughts and impressions on Age of Ultron.
So I feel basically the same way Donnie did. Like there are some really cool scenes and character setups, but there's also some really big letdowns. I actually have a running dialogue with my wife on what Hulk saw, and I think it ties in the movie we just recently saw in Infinity War. And so it's one of those things where I feel like there wasn't enough payoff for fans of all these characters, and it didn't give me enough of a setup for our future movies. So I just feel like it with the last Avengers movie, there was payoff. Like the first one,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you left going, man, this team is going to do great things, and they're going the wrong way. At the end of this one, I was like, okay, what's going on, guys?
Can I butt in here? Because I feel like the whole movie is set up. The whole movie is nothing but setup for other stuff.
Yeah,
like the Sokovia Accords, that is a setup. Hulk leaving is a setup. The vibranium is a setup. Like that's
Thor's
all.
bath.
Yes, Thor's hit. Yes, even that. All of it is just a setup for other movies. I feel like that's the whole purpose of Age of Ultron is to set up so many other arcs that are going to happen afterwards.
Sure, I think it's fair. So we'll roll right into the next one then with Ant-Man. Coach, you have those ones.
I was really glad I got this one.
Oh, good.
So, Boss Man Don, what is Ant-Man's real name?
Paul Rudd? No, I know that's not. I know that's not right.
I'm over here doing the 10-second count like I'm a basketball coach right now.
Yep, that's right.
Scott?
All right. Dev, do you agree?
I agree. Scott Lang.
All right.
Kevin.
I noted the answer. Don't worry.
What is the name of the creation that makes Ant-Man?
Correction. Well, not correction, but further thing. What gives Ant-Man his powers specifically?
The suit. It's the.
But what makes the suit have powers?
Yeah,
it's not just a suit. Yeah.
I don't know.
Dev.
It's the Pym particle.
Yeah.
I could have said the Pym, but I wouldn't have never got the particle.
So
2 for 2 on that one, guys.
Your thoughts on Ant-Man, Coach? You're supposed to be quiet about the answer.
Sorry, I get so excited.
I don't get Scott. Oh
no. I'm not taking first names. Don't count.
Word.
So, Donnie, your thoughts on Ant-Man?
Until I took this quiz, I really loved Ant-Man. I really did. Ant-Man is hilariously funny, super funny. I'm pretty sure it's probably my kids' favorite so far.
Really?
Because while my son can get into the superhero stuff, but my daughter just more or less watches it for entertainment. And in this movie, she was delightfully entertained. There's that one moment where Michael Douglas's character Pym is having a moment with his daughter. Right, they're talking in a little open area in his house, and just Paul Rudd just interrupts in the back. He's like, "This is awesome. You guys are like getting back together," and he just ruins it in just Paul Rudd fashion. It's so hilarious. And then like they keep blowing up like this ridiculous stuff. Like these huge toys blow up and fall down and stuff. And like the ant at the end that runs out of the house. So like nobody really, and it's like none of the first responders care. There's a giant ant running around. Like you can't get over. You're like, there's an ant the size of a Volkswagen car just like running away. So funny. I was concerned when I started this one because if you watch the trailer, this has no business being nearly as good as it should. You watch a trailer with Paul Rudd, not a superhero. Like no matter in no universe is Paul Rudd thought of as a superhero. And then you see him running around with ants. You're like, really? We're gonna go, ant? We're gonna go Honey, I Shrunk the Kids on this? And then the way that they use the suit They get very clever with it, which is good. It keeps you, it keeps you kind of invested. But I will say the Yellow Jacket, the worst. He's awful. That whole thing was bad. I was like, this is really stupid. But outside of that, it was a very enjoyable, fun ride. Like we watched that. I'll never forget. We watched it like on a Saturday morning, just over breakfast. So we were just hanging out, watching it, just being lazy. And it was a really good fit. We got a laugh and good start to the day.
So with this movie, this is the first Marvel movie I did not see in theaters. This is the only one I caught after the fact, after it was released on DVD, other than Thor Ragnarok, just because the release time it came out, I was way too busy. Same thing. I didn't have high expectations for the movie. It was very funny, but I will comment on one thing, Donnie. So while I don't disagree that Paul Rudd in no universe would be a superhero, Chris Pratt would have been the same situation when you go back to when he first was Star-Lord.
Old Chris Pratt, maybe, but Jurassic Park Chris Pratt, maybe not.
But that was after. Star-Lord was his first thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't. So. But it's not for me. So I can't. Right. Yeah,
I'm just saying that mentality is Marvel knows what they're doing. Clearly, I mean, they picked the right people in these castings. So yeah, I thought it was a fun ride there too. So the next one up is what Donnie thought was the original Captain America movie, Captain America: Civil War. Maybe you thought it was during the actual Civil War, like in revolutionary times. No,
I didn't, Kevin.
No. Okay. Well, question number 1. Tony Stark calls Spider-Man into battle by calling him what?
I don't know.
Come on.
Oh,
come on.
Dev, lay it on me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that one.
So what returning villain is disposed of rather quickly at the beginning of this film?
All right. I don't think I know him. I don't think I know his name. I don't know his name.
All right.
It's the guy defense, I don't think his name was ever verbally spoken.
I know the guy, right?
Oh, it was in the other movie he was in.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the guy from the other movie. It's the Hydra guy, the guy that turned on Cap. I know who it is. I don't know his name. I didn't know his name in the other movie either.
Dev?
I don't remember.
See? What? Come on,
I don't even remember.
That's a serious question. That's like a deep question.
I don't think
that's a deep cut.
Because I definitely remember it was being like, oh, he just got handled, but I don't remember who it was.
Wow. Crossbones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I wasn't expecting him to die like that. I was like,
I wasn't either. I'm like, he's gonna be the villain in the movie. I was like, no, he's going in 10 minutes.
Isn't his name?
No, it's Crossbones.
No, I know, but he has a different name.
Well, he has his human name too.
Yeah, his agent something, but I don't know his name. I didn't know Crossbones. When did they say Crossbones?
Oh, they said it.
When?
I can't tell you the exact time. Like it was 7 minutes and 36 seconds into the movie, Donnie. I don't remember.
Kevin looked this up and then asked the question. I see how this is going. No? Stacking the deck. I got it. I got it. Have your fun.
Everyone else remembered it the second I said his name that he was there. So
okay,
fair. Anyway, your thoughts on the movie then?
Captain America: Civil War is awesome. I mean, it's incredible. The fight scene on the landing strip is another one of those Marvel Avenger moments where you're like, oh, this is huge. Like this is awesome. And then you get the whole Black Panther tie-in and the introduction of new characters, and then the closing, or I'd say the closing out of like the Bucky story. Although I mean, there's still some story there, but like really it comes full circle. And then that final scene, oof, that's a Agent Coulson like emotional moment when they're going at it, and you understand the motivations to why. And the fight itself is really tough. And they did a really good Cap versus Iron Man fight scene where they kind of gave them both, an excuse and an out so fans can argue about it. I'm not sure if that was a thing, but I can imagine that being a thing. I love Captain America: Civil War. It's great.
All right. So Nathan, your thoughts?
It's fantastic. I love that movie. It's, again, one of those movies where you're introducing character like Black Panther and the whole Wakandan thought. But it's another one that it's Avengers 2.5, and in a lot of ways better than Avengers 2. And like you said earlier with Vision, you can kind of see he should have, whatever side he was on should have won because he is just all powerful. Should be, at least. But that aside, the actual story between Cap and Iron Man, the reasons for or against signing, it's tough. Like if you watch that movie, you think, what's the right way? And there really is no right or wrong answer per se. I mean, you can have valid reasons one way or another, but it's a good movie that makes you kind of think about the costs and the decisions that are made. When you think about what happened in Sokovia, the collateral damage that's caused, and the oversight that needs to be made or doesn't. If they decide that we need to go somewhere, but we don't think it's a right play to move. I mean, how do we submit to oversight when we have this power? It's a very interesting discussion, and I think that it's done in a way that is actually pretty well done for me. And I think that this movie and Winter Soldier were both by the Russo brothers. Infinity War was also by the Russo brothers. Mm-hmm. And they, after this movie, quickly became my favorite director set for the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Great movie. Loved it. I thought it was really cool what they did with Black Panther, bringing him in and showing him how he's a force to be reckoned with, and just a great movie.
All right, so this brings us up to Doctor Strange. Coach.
All right. Name Doctor Strange's cloak.
Nope.
Okay.
Just nope.
Dev?
I can't even name it. That's not Doctor Strange isn't one of my comics that I actually follow. Dang. Yeah, no.
All right. This was the first give me I wrote. I was really proud of this one. This is
this is a real easy one.
Here we go. Strange injures his what? How?
He injures his hands in a car wreck.
Yeah, I mean, that might be right. Dev?
Agree.
Thank you for that one. Thank you.
All right, so Dev, then your thoughts on Doctor Strange, as it's not from your background there.
I loved it. Doctor Strange is not a character that I ever followed, like reading comic books, but I absolutely love this movie. Like, I love the whole idea of just all the mystic arts and the magic and the dimensions and all of that, because it just takes it to a level where it's like, man, like there's so many more things you can do. The whole idea that he protects Earth from all of the other invasions that we just can't see. So I love that. The way they tie in the time stone, the way his journey from becoming just a doctor to Doctor Strange was also enjoyable. I loved it. Seeing how his teacher was also pulling from the dark realm. It just everything that they did with that movie, I really enjoyed it. Just as another foray to the other stuff in the MCU, you get to tie in all of the cosmic stuff as well. So I really enjoyed it a lot.
All right, Donnie, your thoughts?
I didn't, for all the reasons that Dev did. I can't tell you that I like this movie. The one takeaway that I really wanted to see is I wanted to see Wong fight. This whole movie, it's like this thing, like with Wong, he's so funny and hilarious, and he's such a big part of it. And then there's this battle, he actually dies, and you never see him lift a finger. And then they just rewind time. And a lot of, I mean, the rewind time thing we can talk about later, but in more ways than just that, I feel like Doctor Strange kind of cheapens the MCU and all the different places that it kind of goes. You're like, well, if all of this exists, why is anybody else doing anything else? Like, why? Like, it just kind of throws it all up in the air. It's just like, well, now we're just doing whatever we want. So in that regard, you remember I said earlier, like, the grounded in reality, or at least the reality that they present, like for all the movies to this point, I had bought in. And in a lot of ways, especially me being a Batman fan, seeing what they tried to do with Justice League, it's like they tried to make Justice League like, Civil War, but you don't have the 12 other movies that come before it. They just tried to jump there, right? Yeah. Having watched now the Marvel MCU, I now understand that. I can see that comparison between the two, and I'm like, wow, like I can't believe, because it's slow. You don't realize it's happening until something like Doctor Strange happens, and you're like, well, I don't like this. Why? Because this is kind of where I was with Doctor Strange. Like, why don't I like this? And it's like, well, I don't like this because they've set forth this reality where everybody's playing in, and Doctor Strange just kind of breaks it all. And I liked the reality that we were in. I liked the fact that everything kind of felt there. It's like that DBZ syndrome, right? Where every villain that comes along is just a little bit stronger than the hero that's there before it. Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of cheapened the whole experience for me.
All right. So this boots us into Spider-Man Homecoming. First official long full-length feature film featuring Spider-Man in the MCU, that is. So Donnie, what name does Peter give his AI in his suit?
Darcy?
Dev, do you agree?
I disagree. I don't even remember what it was, but I disagree.
Okay. So who does Tony Stark put in charge to monitor Peter's superheroic activities?
Happy.
Dev, do you agree?
All right, if we're not going with just first names, then no, I disagree.
Can you give the full name, Donnie?
No, because everybody calls him Happy. Because his name's Happy. Like everybody calls Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
No, they call him Peter
But
Parker.
you
Hey,
know,
Spider-Man,
Peter Parker.
do a
He's Peter
backflip.
Parker.
Not, hey, Peter Parker, also known as Spider-Man, do a backflip.
Okay, in all fairness, though, this character has appeared in like 5 other movies.
And in all fairness, everybody calls him Happy.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but they also say his last name a few times. Right. I'm not going to. So, Nathan, your thoughts on Spider-Man Homecoming?
Crying.
Spider-Man Homecoming is great. I love the villain. Michael Keaton as Vulture. When Vulture was first announced as the villain, it was kind of a head scratcher. Like, really? Your first outing of Spider-Man in the MCU and you're going with the Vulture? But he made it so like menacing in the way that, especially that scene where it's revealed that he is the
Father. You are the father.
Yeah, that's that twist. I didn't see that one coming. That took me by surprise. I was like, oh, yeah, that was good.
So when you got that scene, and then you got him figuring things out in the car, and the way he's acting just with his face,
Yeah.
Yes.
just in the mirror too, which
Menacing.
is such Michael Keaton, just good. He needs to be in everything. He's a fantastic actor.
Agreed.
So you have that. You have Iron Man being in there too, which is another nice plus. It kind of he's that mentoring role. I don't know if we're going to get an Uncle Ben like with great power becomes great responsibility kind of thing with him. I think that's really going to be Tony and Iron Man. To be honest, with MCU, but it's a great interplay between the two. I mean, you have Robert Downey Jr.'s character that didn't have much of a fatherhood figure being brought up. And he's trying to be a little different with Peter because he doesn't have his own son. And it's a cool dynamic there that they're starting to build from that side too. So overall, another great movie.
I agree. Donnie, your thoughts?
No, he's spot on. Michael Keaton took what I think was, I mean, he just took something bad and turned it into something great. You think about that character like within another actor, and I think this movie is detriment, like just hurt profoundly because this character is not even. I mean, just the character, the Vulture. It's like dude with this robot wing. Like, really? That's what Spider-Man should be fighting? Like, he's Spider-Man. He took Cap's shield. Really? This dude? Like, you feel like it should be, chump change. But I think they do a lot by helping him. Like when he just blasts his own dude away into like dust, right? Like then you start to realize like, and before he even does that, before he just goes super crazy, he sits there and goes, "Hey guys, we are low key under the radar. We don't need these people paying attention to us." So you see, like he's really smart.
Yeah.
So like that's really what like his menacing. It's honestly when he's not the Vulture, when you're scared of him the most. It is the car scene when he's, it's Michael Keaton. You're scared of Michael Keaton. I wish you would have used those laser rays more. Like you kind of wonder, like, well, he just made him poof. Like, why wouldn't he use these more? But he's trying to stay under the radar. Yeah, it was really good. Like I loved the whole your neighborhood friendly Spider-Man stuff, right? They really, really, really lay that on thick with this movie.
Yeah.
Hey, Spider-Man, do a backflip. Like that's really good character development for this Spider-Man. Made me forget that I ever watched another Spider-Man movie to begin with.
Yep.
Plus, my daughter absolutely got ecstatic when that the
Zendaya.
yeah, there you go. She loves her to death. I have no idea who she is. My daughter loves her to death, and then the fact that she's MJ, I know MJ. I knew that. So when I picked up on MJ, which I felt like was maybe like not like a spoiler, but like an Easter egg, like maybe some folks don't know what that means. When I picked up on that, I explained that to my daughter, and now she's even more excited. Like she's very, very excited to see another Spider-Man. So I hope we get another one with MJ. But yeah, apparently that actress is on Disney Channel or something.
That's where she started. Yeah, she's very popular.
She's super excited. She saw her. She's like, "Oh my god!" So,
so now we're on to Mo's favorite movie, Thor Ragnarok. Nathan.
As he dies, Odin reveals to Loki and Thor that they have a what?
Sister.
Yeah, okay, thanks. I didn't know what they asked. I forgot. Like, I gotta ask Dev something. What was I supposed to ask him? Okay.
Man.
What does Bruce Banner reveal to Thor that he is worried about when hulking out?
His clothes?
What?
I'm trying to remember when
Wow.
he's hulking out. What is he worried about?
Okay,
He's
so
worried about-
let me rephrase that question.
Please, yeah, give me a little context.
Why is he afraid to go through the process of hulking out?
His
All right.
clothes.
Well, because I know. Okay, the reason I said his clothes, if I may defend myself, the reason I said his clothes is because this is the movie where he dresses up like Tony, and he's talking about his clothes a lot. So that's why I went there. Also, in the other movies, like he stretches all of his clothes out, and it's a common thing, guys. Come on. I only have one answer, and I don't think it's the right one.
His clothes?
But like, so in Ragnarok, he hulked out for. Like he became Hulk and then he disappeared for 2, 3, 4 years, something like that. So maybe that, like he's scared that he won't come back, that he's losing control, maybe.
Agree.
Oh,
Was Donnie hulking out?
Donnie, I'm worried about your clothes. Don't hulk out, man.
come on, guys, that's not it. Come
We're
on.
on camera. You can't do that. So we know what Coach Mo feels. So Dev, what were your thoughts on Thor Ragnarok?
Sorry, Mo, but I freaking love Thor Ragnarok. It's definitely top 5. I loved it. The fact that you get the character development of Banner and Hulk, and you also get comedic Thor, which is the best Thor. It was good, man. The action was good. The pacing was good. I'm sorry that they totally destroyed Planet Hulk for you, but this is the way they had to do it. And the way they did it was really good. I mean, it was just so much fun. And I don't ever say movies are fun because I think that's just a ridiculous thing in my mind. It's just like, how do you have fun sitting there watching a movie? But this one was just fun. Like it was nonstop laughs. It was great action. You were waiting for the next thing to happen. And just the interplay between Hulk and Thor was just awesome. Like their camaraderie, that teamwork, much like the OT, is awesome. So I just loved it. It's such a good movie. I'll watch it over and over and over and over again. Sorry, Mo. I love you though.
I love you as well. This is the only Marvel movie I don't own.
Oh wow. So Donnie, then your thoughts.
I'm more on Mo's side than Dev's side on this one.
I've never liked you more, boss.
You are a failure right now, Donnie. I'm sorry.
So this is like Scary Movie, the Marvel movie. This is parody of the movies themselves, which I'm not really. I'm like at face value when you say that statement, I'm not against that. I'm only against it in the sense that they tried 2 times earlier to do something else, and then they just realized that it wasn't working, so they flipped the script, and they flipped the script hard. This movie is funny, but it's all funny, which makes it feel not important, which I don't like, because in this entire MCU, I did feel at this point in the MCU, I felt like I was on a journey. I've got eyes towards Infinity War. I'm like, oh man, we're getting there. This movie didn't do much at all for me in that regard, and I just kind of felt like, wow, what a placeholder. It's honestly, it's like some dudes got in a room and they were like, all right, everybody hates our Thor movies, which I would agree with. So like, what are we going to do? We're just going to make it stupid funny, slapstick Thor. Like I said, it's not that it's not entertaining. It is entertaining. There are some very, very funny parts. There's some very good characters. I felt lost, and you guys can help me here, because they're on help me. Was it Goldblum? Right? They're on his planet, and he's just himself. Like he's doing nothing for me because he's just him. And geeks love that because he's just him and he's funny. But at the same time, it's like I guess maybe that's it. It's like try to do something here. Like I get what you're trying to do, but like maybe try to do something. And just felt like there was no real want to. It's like maybe if we just make people laugh a lot, they'll just forget that we really don't have any point of what's going on here. Somebody tell me how Hulk got there. Because
he flew the Quinjet there.
The Quinjet, isn't it like a different realm? Like, how does that happen?
Does it have to make that much sense?
Yes, it does. When you hop realms, when
it's not a different realm. It's not a different realm. It's the same realm. It's the same universe, just far as hell away.
Yeah, just like how the Guardians got.
Okay, so it's a completely different planet, but still,
still in our universe.
So the Quinjet can just hop planets.
Yeah,
yeah.
Spaceship, bro.
All right, yeah, I got a little hesitation with that one.
So no, that's understandable, and I think all your comments are actually fair. Yeah. It just didn't take away from me enjoying the movie. So like, yeah, it's very much a standalone almost, and you just the only time you get is to where Hulk's been, really. But you also like the Quinjet thing makes more sense if you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit. There's more things with the S.H.I.E.L.D. technology you don't really get out of the movie. So I don't blame you on being confused on that one.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not. It's the worst movie in the MCU, like Mo is. Sure. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
But it's not in my top 5 either. I'm not anywhere near that high. It's funny, but like you got to remember, I'm watching them all in order for the first time. So for me, when I'm thinking about ranking them, I very much like not necessarily like I'm ranking them based on how much I enjoyed the film, but also like its place in the overarching thing. You know, like that's in my mind because I'm watching them all in one for this very purpose of having the show tonight. So,
all right. So we're down to the wire now. We got 2 movies left. So next up is Black Panther. Coach.
I'm so proud of this. Like, I had students help me with this. We all went to the movies. We talked about it. I'm very jacked for these questions because they involve my 2 favorite characters from the movie. So here we go. M'Baku and his tribe differ in gods than the rest of Wakanda, who worship the panther. What animal does his tribe worship?
He wears the mask, doesn't he?
Yes.
And I can't remember for the love of me what it was. Oh, man, that's a good question, Mo. I'm impressed.
That was brought to you by Shy.
Oh,
she helped me write it. She was there.
All right. I'm going to monkey.
Disagree.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to the next one. Shuri says, "You brought me another white guy?" Who is she referencing?
Right. I think you need to clarify a little bit, Mo.
No. I know.
Yeah, but I need some clarification because you also didn't give the answer. You're referring to the first white guy or the second white guy?
She would be referring to the first one.
Okay, thank you. Oh man, this is a throwaway one too.
Come on.
This is also assumed. This may not necessarily be.
No, it's confirmed.
No, it's confirmed.
Yeah, this is all that's confirmed. How you can assume
you
on that
even
one?
spoke on it earlier, Donnie.
Oh, I spoke on it earlier. Oh, that makes me think I've got the wrong guy. I'm thinking of the agent. The agent that gets shot. I just don't know his name. All right, so now having gotten a little.
It's not the agent, so I'm gonna stop you there.
Bucky?
The agent. I agree.
Man, Dev, you helped him out there. That's
because he was struggling too hard. I couldn't help it. And the
because
first
when
one,
you thought
10-second timer went past. That's all I'm saying.
The guy you brought me, they brought the agent to Wakanda. Like I just went right there. I went right to that guy.
Yeah,
I just don't know the dude's name.
Well, that's why I asked him. Did he mean the first guy or the second?
Okay, that helped. But thanks.
I wasn't gonna go to Dev's levels of helping, but
the first one was M'Baku. He was also known as the man ape. So the ape god, not the monkey.
Oh, I'm glad I was that close. Because I was going to say Rhino, but that's not M'Baku. Like the Rhino is the other guy. So yeah.
Well, I'll leave it alone because you're probably thinking about the Rhino in Black Panther, but I'm thinking about the Rhino in Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Rhino in Black Panther.
All right, so let's go with Nathan. Your thoughts on Black Panther?
Black Panther is an interesting movie. There's a lot of reasons why it's a fantastic film. However, I think that this movie has such a great story for fathers and sons. That when you watch it and we think about it, and you think about the decisions of the father and the legacy of the father versus what the decisions of the son have to make, that's really, to me, Black Panther. That's the story here. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff with Killmonger and the whether or not he's a villain. But really, when you look at it as to, the other generations that came before us has set the way to go down the path, but is that the right path to follow? That's the biggest question that you ask yourself after this movie. And I feel like they did a fantastic job answering that question, asking it, and making you think about what was presented before you. And it's a movie that's more than a comic book movie to me. It tells a wider story and on a bigger stage. It's great storytelling, and it's one that I was looking forward to because I didn't know a lot of Black Panther going into it. All I knew was what I saw, in some of the comics that I read that he was kind of guesting in, or some of the cartoon shows that I watched, or in Civil War, obviously. And I knew of Wakanda, and I knew of the vibranium that was used to create the shield and other things. But I wanted to find out more, and I got a lot of that great backstory in this movie, and I got the understanding of what that culture actually brings to the table in the Marvel Universe, and it's a fantastic addition, in my opinion. So it was a great movie. I'm glad that they took the time to tell it that was needed, and it was just good.
Donnie.
I love Black Panther. It's my favorite movie in the bunch.
Yes. Amen.
I kind of teared up a bit at times.
Mm-hmm, me too.
When the kids and I left the theater, because we just watched this. We watched it with Saturday. When we left the theater, all of my kids were talking about it. They're like, that movie was awesome. There were cheers in the audience, like actual auditory cheers, clapping. That's a great, great story. Michael Jordan's character, best villain in the MCU. I loved every bit of his motivation, his execution, the way he just everything about him I thought was great. The only thing that I was not as big a fan on was the actual fight between
that final battle.
Very looking, the folks that just looked just like each other, and it was all like Tron. Like I was way more.
It wasn't about the
actual like war that was going on outside with Shuri and Okoye and everybody else. I was way more into that than the battle between these two.
The battle between those two is the words. Don't even look at the fight. It's about the words. It's about what they said to each other.
Oh, and I love the
I've had to say that to so many people because I've heard that so many times that fight scene had nothing to do with them with actual physical fights. It's about what they say to each other.
Yeah. And the fact that one, I love Wakanda. Talk about this awesome place, right? It's got this beautiful thing, like where you fly in through the jungle and it's all is revealed. But and they've got this superpowered technology that's far advanced from the rest of the world, right? But at the same time, it's still blended with all this old school culture stuff. So it's like it's old and new. It's not just new. It's not tech for the sake of tech. It's not Asgard, right? You're not like sitting there and everything's CG and everything's awesome. No, it's very, very based in reality. And just the ties that they have. Also, a lot of things get tied up in this movie, so you definitely feel like that, that sense of closure on a lot of different lines, which I enjoyed a lot of that too. The social commentary that comes from this movie, whether it be like race relations or helping the other part of the world, democracy, all of that stuff is great. It makes this movie say something, which I don't even love it and my favorite MCU because of that, but because it has that, it has so much to stand up on just by itself. Like kind of what Nathan's saying too. Like it's a Marvel movie in one sense, and in another sense, it's just a really great movie by itself. But yes, this is my favorite. It's my favorite in MCU. I can't tell you how much I really, really enjoyed it. Like we're coming out of the theater for this movie, I was hyped. I was like, man, I got to see more of this, and I cannot wait to see Avengers: Infinity War. At this point, I was like, I'm a fan. So
yes. That's exactly what I was hoping for when people saw Black Panther, that it would make them want to actually go see Infinity War and the rest of the
I
MCU.
bought the games. I got the Lego game. We went to the mall, which we had a mall at the theater we had to go see this movie at. We started buying, I bought little figurines from like Hot Topic. I got shirts. Like, yeah, we started doing stuff.
Oh, so this brings us to the finale then with Avengers Infinity War. And Nathan wrote the questions on these ones.
All right, Donnie, this is probably the hardest question I wrote for you.
I think it's the hardest question in the whole thing, to be honest.
Might be.
I don't know.
You've done pretty well. Stop it.
So here we go. In what order did Thanos collect the Infinity Stones to add to his gauntlet?
Now, before you answer, I will allow either naming the stones by what they are or their colors.
I was just getting ready to say, can we at least just let him get the colors?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If you can do just the color in the order that he obtains them, yes. But even that's hard. So,
Soul Stone, Time Stone, Mind Stone.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Disagree.
I probably was going to get it anyway, so I tried.
Disagree. The Soul Stone was the last stone he got.
I'm sorry.
No.
Hang on.
You're both wrong. First off, Donnie only named 3 stones.
Yeah, I know.
So hang on. He gets
Soul Stone was not the last stone.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Isn't the Soul Stone the red stone?
Right. No, it's not.
Okay, hang on. Red stone, yellow stone.
No.
Green stone, purple stone?
No.
Nope. You're still not even naming enough, so that's fine. We'll let that go. It's Power Stone, Space Stone, Reality Stone, Soul Stone, Time Stone, Mind Stone,
the Space Stone,
or purple, blue, red, orange, green, yellow.
Okay. Because I remember when he got them, but I just saw this movie, and
if you remember when he got them, that's the order that he got them.
So hang on. All right, so I already missed it, so that's out. I completely forgot about the collector scene, so that one's on me. That's the red one, right?
Yes.
So
that's
what's the first stone that he gets, though, Donnie? Think about from the first stone that he gets is what?
It's the purple one.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so he gets that first. What's the next one and when?
I wanted to say I thought that was the collector stone, but no.
What's the first scene in the movie?
He kills Loki.
And what's he get?
On Asgard. A blue stone?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay. And then he gets the collector stone.
Yep.
And then he gets Gamora stone.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets the time stone from Doctor Strange.
Yep.
And then he gets the yellow stone from Vision.
Yep.
Correct. There you go.
So yeah.
Well, not correct, but yes, you answered those. But
yeah.
So, like I said, that was the most difficult question I figured would be.
It was like 5 questions, you
know. And finally, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna get this one right. And I love this scene, so I want to add it. Who cautioned Thanos of the cost of the Soul Stone?
Oh, the Red Skull.
Devin?
I agree.
Yeah, that's good. I want to talk about this movie.
Let's talk about
everything. I want to talk about this movie. Oh man, I want to talk about this movie. Should I do my ranks before we talk about this movie or no?
No. Talk the movie. I want to hear you and Devin's thoughts to wrap this up because this involves you two more than the rest of us. So, okay, Donnie, you go first, and I want to hear Devin's thoughts.
So this movie's really good. It does a lot of things really well. I give them credit for balancing so many characters. The reason that I felt like I probably wouldn't get these questions right, and I'm glad that you gave me an easy one, is this movie has so much going on. I actually kind of felt this way after I saw it. I kind of wanted to see it again because I was like, especially the final scene, like the final 10 minutes felt so impactful. I kind of felt like I forgot everything that happened before then. Like I remember the moments, I remember Loki, I remember Gamora, I remember the moments, but like all the stuff in between, I kind of forget all of that. It takes a minute for me to recall it all because there is a ton. They split all these different people up. They go all across the universe. It's just flying around, which makes sense, I guess, considering the universe. I also do feel like this might have been like shotgunned a bit. It feels like they're trying to get somewhere. Like they've got a place they want to get to, and they're just trying to get there fast. It's like, all right, let's catch everybody up. My impression is that they're probably killing off half of the characters so they can resolve the storylines of the half that remain. Because you really can't tell a really, really good story with all of those characters on screen. I don't think you've got to like, either they won't have screen time, which makes them, that's everybody's going to ask where they are. But speaking of where are they, where's Hawkeye?
He's on house arrest. They told you he's on house arrest. Just
Where
like
is
Scott Lang?
He's on house arrest. The world's about to end. He's on house. Come on.
He said he chose his family.
Him and Ant-Man made a deal to escape that prison from Civil War.
Okay, where's Valkyrie? Because
that's a good question.
Great thing that I loved about Thor Ragnarok was her. Where's she?
We have to assume she's with the half of the Asgardians that Thanos took.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so those questions aside, I really like this one. I'm glad that like they had like the Wakanda moment where everything just kind of set the stage. I loved Black Panther and Cap running into it, like side by side. I thought was a really good moment. It's one of those Marvel moments. I was like, oh, when this, by the way, when this movie started that Avengers music at the beginning, this is the first time at the beginning of a movie when I heard that Avengers music, I was like, yes, I can't wait to watch this movie. Like I could feel it. I was like, oh, my kids did too. Like we were all excited. Thanos is great. So
did you like the other reference to the Phantom Menace in this movie with the shield and the personal shields that the Wakandans had?
Sure.
I had to add it.
I did love the Black Panthers. Like, get this man a shield. That was great. This. I
didn't like his shield, by the way.
No, I didn't like the little gauntlet things yet. Yeah.
Oh, you wanted to have an actual shield?
Yeah.
Like his shield?
He couldn't throw those. They were attached to him.
Right.
Like it wasn't.
I didn't mind that. I did mind that they slapped Vision around like nobody's business. They made him look worse than Scarlet Witch in a lot of ways. Like he just got destroyed. I wasn't the best. I would say during the movie, I was like, is this the best way to break these characters up? Like really, we're gonna send Cap and Spider-Man off to like some distant planet, and they got there quick too. Like, I don't know. Like, there's definitely, this movie requires the most like suspension of belief. Like, you've got to just take it for what it is and don't ask too many questions.
If you've got this far, your belief should be suspended on.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But there was a lot of times it's like, really? Like, we're going, how this going to happen? The fight with Thanos was awesome. Them trying to hold the gauntlet and everything, and all of them teaming together. So Stephen Strange. This movie did more for Doctor Strange than his own movie did.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, in the first 10 minutes, this movie did more for Stephen Strange than his entire movie did for me. Like his whole... I'm sorry?
That was kind of the point. There was a lot of conjecture about that. So part of it is when he was dealing with Dormammu, he was in that realm for a very long time, which is why by the start of Infinity War, his powers are at a level where he can actually contend.
Oh, okay. I just love the little banter between him and Stark to open the movie. Good. That was so good. He's just like, we're fighting. We've got a wizard over here. He's got a thing. We're trying to get Squidward. That was all great. He got everybody invested. Everybody's laughing, have a good time. It like really set the stage. Like, here's what's about to happen. And it's nonstop action for the most part. It felt like to me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. I mean, we still don't have any resolution with Cap and Iron Man. And like I said, that feels intentional. It feels like that's where we're going. So before I'll turn the floor to Devin, let you give your thoughts, but I actually want to ask you guys, where are we going?
That's a good question. But your reaction is exactly why I threw down the gauntlet. Because I wanted you to be just as excited as the rest of us are for the MCU. I was like, there's just no way you can be this hard up on comic book movies, and it's only because you haven't seen them. So that is the reason why I
hasn't seen good ones because he watched the DC ones.
Yeah,
that's true. These are way better than Wonder Woman and the Justice League for sure.
Yeah, so that is why this is exactly why I threw down the gauntlet, because you have to see this stuff. It's exciting. It's enjoyable. This movie is just the culmination of everything we've been waiting for. It was amazing. I love the way they were actually able to give every character that was in the movie adequate screen time and actually do something with their characters. It wasn't just they're here for a second. Well, except for maybe War Machine, we didn't really see much of him.
Falcon too.
Or
Falcon was a
Falcon.
little late.
Falcon
but-
too,
Yeah, Falcon.
But they're just like such subpar characters, and
Yeah.
unless we asking where they're going, unless we do see Falcon become Cap,
Ooh.
which
Yeah, Donnie doesn't know about those things.
yeah, he doesn't know about that. That's a storyline. Steve Rogers goes bye-bye. Falcon becomes Captain America for a time.
Like just leaves and retires, or like dies?
He
dies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
That
that makes me remember that they almost killed Iron Man, and then they didn't.
Bucky is also Captain America.
yeah,
at
Bucky
a
becomes
point
Captain
too.
America,
So
yeah.
My daughter was in tears when they stabbed Iron Man. When Thanos like just stabbed it, he sat down. I was like, oh, they're not. Because I've been saying for a while now, it feels like Robert Downey Jr. has been doing this Iron Man thing too long. It's like, all right, can't keep doing Iron Man forever. Dude's getting old. And I
True.
was like, are they gonna kill him off? And then they do. I'm with her. I'm like, they're really gonna do this. And she's like, they can't do this. And then they just don't. Good tease, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think they can kill him off. He needs to pass the Iron Man mantle on to somebody before he basically walks off into the sunset. You can't just kill Iron Man. Yeah, that's my guess. I mean, where we're going, I think maybe Shuri becomes Ironheart. It's a possibility.
Who's Ironheart?
I will say I don't think they did enough with Hector or Wakanda really in the film. It was more of just we need somewhere to have a giant battle. I thought maybe the Soul Stone was there, but it wasn't. So
I thought the same thing too. And to comment on the Wakanda thing, the reason Wakanda didn't play as big a role is this movie was written prior to Black Panther. So they knew it was going to revolve on Wakanda, but they knew the key characters, but they didn't know how that movie was going to influence the after events. So that had a part to do with it too. And Donnie asked a question who Ironheart is. It's actually the person who Tony Stark passes the mantle onto, and it's an African American girl in the comics who ends
That's
up
cool.
yeah.
I'm
being
down
Iron
with
Man.
that. I'm not down with him just retiring, only because I get the sense that if you save the world over and over again, that'd be something really hard to just walk away from.
Well, no,
I felt
he
like if
doesn't-
there was a Thanos type level of destruction, you're coming out of retirement because that's just what you do. You're a hero.
Yeah,
I'd much
he doesn't
rather if they killed him
retire.
off.
He passes it on and becomes her AI, basically. Like he's guiding her. Like he's just too old to be
Like
Iron
Nick
Man.
Fury.
He's
So he
he's
allows her
Alfred.
to do it.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
okay,
Alfred.
okay. That I can get behind that. Okay,
Come on, you think Tony Stark could just walk away?
So
There's no way he could just completely walk away.
no, and that I agree with. Yeah, that I agree with. I did feel like the timing, it was primed to cash in some of that emotional change that they had with us, and then they just completely wrote it off. And then so let's talk about them vanishing everybody with a snap of a finger. That
So,
feels
yeah.
really, really cheap. They're just gonna reverse all that, and that's gonna suck. Like when we watch it, we're like,
mixed
"Oh, come on,
Of
really?"
course, my internet wants to be stupid right now.
we hear you, Dev.
Come on.
Yeah, I can hear you, Dev.
Okay, cool. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like in comics, it's like everything's all fun and games until somebody gets the Infinity Gauntlet, and unfortunately, it's kind of like the just reset button for the most part. So yeah, we can go ahead and get the gauntlet, and somebody can go ahead and erase and fix all of this stuff. We can go ahead and revert back to a time when Thanos didn't get the gauntlet or whatnot. But I don't think that's what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to just completely revert everything. But I do think it's going to be one of those things where somebody else is going to be able to get the gauntlet and kind of erase the fact that he wiped out half the universe.
The gauntlet's destroyed though.
It was all crispy and burning.
It was
and stuff,
crispy,
but I
but
didn't
isn't
get the
it
idea that it was
destroyed?
done.
Yeah.
I got the feeling that gauntlet itself though was destroyed, but there was still that mold on that Nevedia place or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
So they could probably make another one.
Yeah, Peter Dinklage, right?
Yeah.
Dude, it was
Yeah.
awesome.
No, that wasn't.
No,
I thought
wasn't.
it was awesome.
No.
That made me laugh instantly. The moment I saw him, I was like, "Whoa!" Now the Thor standing in front of the sun or whatever, that's a little bit different. But so if I could fantasy book, this very much felt like I said, they felt like they were trying to get somewhere. It's like they had to lay a lot of groundwork, and they only had one movie to do it. So I felt like they just kind of threw a lot on top of it. So am I correct in thinking that Doctor Strange, he told Tony like something like, "This is the way it has to be"?
Yeah, we're in the end game now. He said if you notice, he did the Doctor Strange thing where he was able to view all the different timelines. Okay, there's only one way we can win.
And this is it.
This
We
is
had
it.
to give him the stone. Like we have to go away.
Yeah, because
right?
if that wasn't it, he wouldn't have gave him the stone. Absolutely.
Okay, so this feels like a trilogy to me. Like this very much felt like a Lord of the Rings type situation. Like we're about to get, you know, Thanos in 3 parts. In my idea. So I think they get half of the people off the screen, right? The next movie we get all of this Cap Iron Man resolution. Maybe we get this Ironheart. Maybe we start to support some of these other characters to bring them up. Maybe Falcon, you know, like we start to do some of this stuff with Bucky and get some of all this stuff done that we've been carrying on. And then third movie, we go to war. We do it in a huge way. We bring everybody back and we defeat Thanos. And then like maybe the next phase of the MCU, like a hard reset or something. Here are the new heroes to carry us on for the next decade.
So who wants to tell him about Captain Marvel?
Oh yeah, no, hang on. So I had no idea what Captain Marvel was at all. When I watched the stinger, I was like, what is this? It's like Umbrella Corps. Like, what is this picture? So being the fact that I have watched all these movies, I did actually look her up. I just Wikipedia Captain Marvel real quick on my phone on my drive home. So I don't know everything about her, but my question is she like the trump card? Is this the Vision thing? Like she's just all powerful?
Yeah, she's like the Superman of the
so
MCU.
She's just super awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
That does, I get a little concerned with that because I think that's the hardest thing that DC has to deal with, the fact that like you really can't give Superman a villain because he's just Superman. He's all powerful. Like, you know, so I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't see it being a trilogy. I think it'll definitely be wrapped up in Avengers 4. I think they went back to basically the original Avengers. Like if you look at who's left, it's really the original Avengers squad. So it's like, okay, we need to go ahead and take what we got and fix it. I think Captain Marvel is going to be the person who brings them all together and they go out and they fix it. I think that's basically what's going to end up happening.
So the question there is, why wasn't she here already then?
You'll find out in her movie that takes place before Avengers 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we thinking that she's like off on a distant planet or like put to sleep or something like that?
Yeah, she's out in space somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So her movie takes place in the 90s, which is kind of the reason why he pages her with a pager at the end of it. So but her movie is supposedly going to tie directly into Avengers 4 and the events of Infinity War. Also, same with Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's supposed to be happening like parallel with everything. So we'll see exactly how they tie into it as well. But I think if you want to look at it as a trilogy, it's Infinity War, Captain Marvel, Avengers 4. That would be the trilogy, I would say.
All right. So we have an end game to this at all? Like, is there just going to be an end? Or are they just going to keep doing this?
They're going to keep doing the movies.
They have movies already done through 2025. And then you forget they're still signing the deal for Fox to bring all of those characters on. So you have a whole new area you can go, especially if you go with like the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom.
Yep.
Is the X-Men coming? I saw that on Twitter.
X-Men, you got Ghost Rider will come back. They basically will have everybody back, I think, at that point, except for Spider-Man, who's still owned by Sony technically, but they'll have everything else back.
Okay. Yep. I'm totally, and before we wrap up, we gotta go. I'm totally buying Spider-Man.
Nice. So one more question before we want to get to your rankings and then the results of the quiz. Nathan threw this in here. I like this one. What was your favorite Stan Lee cameo? And I want everyone to answer that. So Nathan, why don't you go first?
My favorite Stan Lee cameo is when he's talking to the Watchers in Guardians 2. Was it the Guardians 2 one?
Yes.
Yep.
I think that one's mine actually.
Where he's telling them all his stories about all his other times and how he was a FedEx delivery guy, and just the fact that he's talking to the Watchers.
The Watchers, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like it's so. I love that one. That's my favorite one for sure.
Okay, so for me, out of all of his cameos, though, I'm going to say Deadpool is my favorite, but I will go MCU here. So. Oh, it's tough. It's a tie between him and Age of Ultron when he's the drunk war veteran. He has Thor's liquor. He has to be carried out.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Or the one where he actually is the FedEx postman. He has the package for Tony's stank.
I forgot about that.
I love that one.
Choices. Good.
They're good. So, Coach, what was your favorite Stan Lee cameo?
I already mentioned mine. It's in the Incredible Hulk when he drinks Hulk's blood.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's right. Then, Donnie, what is yours?
Any one of those are a better option. My least favorite one is him and Spider-Man. I'm going to put that one.
Oh, he says, "Hey, I know that guy."
And he starts yelling at the lady crying. That was dumb.
Yeah. Dev.
Yeah, mine is a tie between him gambling and Black Panther and like let me hold on to those for you.
Oh,
And
that's right.
then
Yeah.
Guardians 1 when he's like trying to pick up the chick.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's good stuff there. So all right. So we've wrapped up the quiz here. Donnie, why don't you go down and give us your rankings as a first-time MCU viewer, and let us know.
From worst to last: Thor: Dark World, Iron Man 3, The Incredible Hulk, Doctor Strange, Thor, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Thor: Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Ant-Man, Iron Man, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Iron Man 2, Avengers: Infinity War, Captain America: The First Avenger, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, Marvel's The Avengers, Captain America: Civil War, Black Panther.
All right. I think it's pretty
That's
decent
not
for the most part.
bad. That's not bad. That's
not bad.
at all.
Except Thor Ragnarok's the worst one.
All right, everyone. So we've talked, I don't know, probably just shy of 2 hours, I think, on all this stuff, which we had a lot of material to cover. The gauntlet has been thrown. So even, let's say, Donnie's score, it was actually teased at the beginning of this when I said, hey, Donnie, it's like 9th grade geometry, and if you get a D, you still manage to pass. You, sir, got 65%. Now, I will say, because Coach messaged me, he disputes 2 of them where he got some assists from. So I will say, even if I remove those 2, you still come in at barely over 60%, which is technically passing. So you have been vindicated, my friend, and Dev now has to pay the price. Donnie, remind everybody at home what that price is.
I'm sorry, Dev.
That price is that Devin has to buy a Switch. He has to buy Zelda Breath of the Wild. He has to play Zelda Breath of the Wild. And he has to buy and play an indie game of my choosing.
Hey, Dev, I'll sell you a Switch.
Ooh.
Well, they got a discount.
Dev, I will too.
Slide
Nathan
into my
Nathan-
DM. Slide into my DMs.
I said Nathan has Breath of the Wild too, right?
I do.
Man, you get a package deal out of this.
See, I was really hoping the twist ending was Dev just reached under his desk and pulled out a Switch that he already had, but
No,
No.
Devin just moved into a house. Devin ain't got Switch money right now.
all right, everyone. Well, that wraps up our extended talk on the MCU. So before we go, Dev, where can people find you, sir?
Check me out at DevAtias on Twitter if you want to be my friend. DatNinjaDev2 on the PSN or DatNinjaDev on Xbox because I've got one of those things now.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, just come holler at me, talk some trash, talk some MCU. I'm here for it.
Trade that in towards a Switch.
Why would you? Why?
Donnie, even I'm not on that ship right now, so no. Donnie, where can people find
Does
you?
you play your Xbox now?
I play my Xbox all the time, yeah.
Me too.
You find me on Twitter at Play Nintendo.
Coach.
Coach Hulk. Remember, Thor Ragnarok sucked. Don't forget that, folks. And I actually want to add something to this because my boy Dev's going to be playing this. Caro sent me a video that had all the memories from the Link game. And man, it made me want to actually like play the game.
What?
See?
Here's the thing. The reason I hate the game is because, like I've told you, I didn't feel like there was a story. If I can get those cutscenes in the game, that would be great.
See, we're all going to just come back to the point where we all just start playing Breath of the Wild again. I can see it coming. Dev's going to switch. I already got Kyle, Josh. Jason is committed to possibly coming, so we're all going to play it again, except Kevin. We're all going to play it, and then Kevin's going to be playing something else.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you.
I really enjoyed the game, but I don't want to go back. And the cutscenes, Coach, it's much better to just watch that way because finding them all in that game is not the easiest of tasks in that game at all. But anyway, I digress. Nathan, where can people find you, sir?
Just go for Twitter at voiced by Nathan.
And Nathan also has a 2-hour review cast on That's Entertaining for
I do.
Infinity War as well. So
Yeah, if you want to go more in depth on That's Entertaining, we have Mo and Steve, who you've heard on OT, come by and we talk about the Infinity War.
And you can find me at PSVG Kevin on Twitter. You can holler at me there. Check out the website, psvg.blog now. As we said, the transition is complete there. So hit that site up for all your PSVG-ness needs. But more importantly, remember, boys and girls, to never stop watching Marvel movies.